What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie here, with my very first TNA Wrestling predictions video. I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on all the matches coming up this Saturday for Hard to Kill, which, by the way, We Are Wrestling will be doing a live watch-along to TNA Hard to Kill. So if you're looking for somebody to watch the premiere live event with, I will be live here on the channel giving TNA a shot. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO. And of course, you already know, the grind is real. I am so excited for the relaunch of TNA Wrestling. I felt like, they lost a lot of momentum for years. And honestly, I think Scott D'Amore has done a fantastic job with this rebuild, with, rebranding Impact Wrestling. I think that, they have an amazing roster full of talented, men and women. And I think now with this TNA relaunch, it just feels like the perfect time. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to be paying attention to TNA. And so far, with this whole relaunch, with the new championship designs and, the upcoming matches we're getting for this incredible, premiere live event, I am very, very, very excited to see, the future of TNA Wrestling. And I think this is exactly what they need. And I already got my subscription to TNA Plus. There's no more excuses. I can't use the whole, I don't have access to Access TV thing. Because right now, the hype is real. And I've been a fan of TNA going all the way back to 2005. It's just such a special company. And when Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, took over TNA, I still watched it until maybe like 2015, 2016. And I just lost a lot of interest when, it changed, because the reason I got invested as a viewer at first was because of how special, how different it was. And I think Scott D'Amore and, the talented roster that they have, they're trying to bring back that nostalgia and at the same time, focus more on the professional wrestling side of things. And I'm very excited to, really get back into this. Feels really good, even holding this replica championship. I loved going to the TNA live events when I was a kid. Loved collecting the toys. Man, I loved watching it on Spike. So many awesome memories. Even playing the video game that wasn't even that good. I wanted to play it because of Ultimate X. But man, I've been so excited all week for this. So guys, if you want to watch TNA Hard to Kill with myself, I will be live here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel this Saturday. So, that being said, let's get into the matches and my predictions for TNA Hard to Kill 2024. So, before we get into the regular match card for Hard to Kill, we do have a couple pre-show matches that are happening, before the Hard to Kill premiere live event. So, our first match, we have a singles match, Rich Swann versus Steve Maclin. And I know that these two guys, they are former WWE superstars. They didn't really have, big opportunities over there. And, they've been a part of, Impact Wrestling for the last couple years. And even though I don't watch the product, which I'm going to start watching it since, I'm giving it a shot this Saturday, I have been, paying attention to highlights and, news. And I love the work Steve Maclin, has done. I think that he's, completely done a whole 180 with his career. And I love, this character that he's doing in TNA. And I've been very invested in him, especially when he did win the Impact World Championship. Rich Swann, he's another former, Impact World Champion as well. I remember him being in the Cruiserweight, for WWE. And, he went on, to Impact. He was a part of the X Division. Then he had a little run with the World Heavyweight Championship. And he's always been a very talented guy that just never got the opportunity to show it. So I think having these two, in the ring, two guys that, were a part of Impact Wrestling when a lot of people weren't watching at the time, I think that this is a great way to, reward them. And I always love that when, they reward the hard workers. So this match, I think, is going to be a very underrated match. And I'm going to have to go with Steve Maclin. I think that, we need to pick up some momentum here because I do want to see him get back in that title picture. But moving on now to the next match we have here. We have a tag team match. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers with Alicia Edwards versus Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. I think that this is going to be a fun tag match. I do love that, we have two TNA originals, Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian, teaming up together. And, we got Brian Myers and, Eddie Edwards, two, very solid veterans in this sport. And I do love the chemistry that they do have. I think that this is going to be a great match. And I'm going to have to go with Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian. I think that they're going to get the victory because, they're TNA day ones. But moving on now to our last pre-show match of the night. We have a no disqualification match for the TNA Digital Media Championship. Tommy Dreamer will be defending his title against Crazy Steve. And I believe, Crazy Steve, he did have a Feast or Fired case. That's how he got the shot for the championship. And honestly, I've been a big fan of Crazy Steve going, all the way back to DK with Abyss and Rosemary. I really did enjoy that tag team. And I don't know why he left in the first place. I felt like, they had something really good going on, during its time. And they were, picking up a lot of momentum as a tag team. But, Tommy Dreamer, I know he gets a lot of criticism for being, a 53-year-old man holding a digital media championship. I think it's absolutely hilarious. And, you got to have the veterans in the business, because you're getting more eyes on, newer stars by having a guy like Tommy Dreamer. And I'm very surprised that he's still wrestling, to this day. Obviously, he's not the young, Tommy Dreamer that, we once watched, in ECW, going through freaking fire tables and barbed wire. And he doesn't move, the same, but he's still a hardcore legend. And I love that Impact Wrestling has given him, an opportunity to, end his career the right way. I think that this is going to be a fun no disqualification match. And I think that Crazy Steve is going to win the, TNA Digital Media Championship. I think that, Tommy Dreamer, he's going to, move on into another storyline. He's had the title for a little bit. Let's see what, Crazy Steve can do. So now, with that being said, let's get into the official match card for TNA Hard to Kill. And we have a 4-way tag team match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. We have the ABC, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin defending their championships against the Rascals versus Speedball Mountain, which is Mike Bailey and Trent Steven, versus the Grizzly Young Veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake. And this is going to be a banger tag team match. I am very excited. I really hope the Grizzly, young veterans, they sign to, TNA. I think they would be a massive addition to the tag division. The Rascals, I think, bringing, back Zachary Wentz to TNA was a great move because, of course, him and, Trey Mitchell, him and Trey, they do have, that chemistry. And, with what happened in, NXT with, Zachary, was just complete bullshit. Not fair at all. They should have done a full investigation on that. But I'm so happy that, Impact gave him that chance. And right now, him and Trey, they're absolutely killing it as a tag team. And then, we got Mike Bailey, somebody that, I'm very familiar with because I do love me some independent wrestling. And I got to see him wrestle at, Blitzkrieg Pro against, the prize Alec Price in such a great match. And I love that, Speedball is getting, more and more eyes on him every week. And now with this TNA relaunch, I think that he is going to be a name that, AEW and WWE are going to be looking at, in a couple years. Because that's how talented this kid is. And, he's partnering up with, Trent Stevens as well. So that is, kind of cool. And we have the ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. I'm very familiar with their work. Like I said, I do watch, highlights and stuff. And I think that, the ABC, they are going to retain their World Tag Team Championships. And I think that this is going to be a really good match. Moving on now to the next match we have here. We have a singles match. Josh Alexander versus Alex Hammerstone. This match is probably the one match that I am really looking forward to the most. I've been paying attention to the Walking Weapon and, Alex Hammerstone throughout their careers. And, Alex, man, I hope Impact, I hope that TNA Wrestling has him signed because I think he would be a massive addition to the TNA roster. I really hope this isn't a one-off because I think there's a lot of potential with Hammerstone. And I think that he could be somebody that you could really build this company around. And having him go against Josh Alexander, one of the best pro wrestlers on their roster, who really hasn't had a lot of eyes on him because, he's been a part of Impact when a lot of us, really turned off TNA. And, he's been absolutely killing it. Somebody I highly recommend you guys to keep an eye on. He is very talented. This is going to be a banger. Just like a lot of these matches on this card. And I do think that, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander, is going to win. But I think Hammerstone is going to attack him after the match when he wants to show him respect. And that's going to create a program between both guys. The next match on the card, we have a Knockouts Ultimate X match to determine the number one contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Oh man, I get to watch an Ultimate X match. I don't remember the last time I watched one, live on a pay-per-view. We have Jaleel Shaw versus Zaya Brookside versus Jody Threat versus Tasha Steelz versus Alicia Edwards versus Dana Luna. And I think that this is a great way to, open more fans' eyes to these women because, a lot of them are very, very underrated. And a lot of us, haven't been watching Impact Wrestling. So a lot of us don't really know some of these names. So I think putting, 1, 2, 3, 4... putting 6 knockouts that a lot of us aren't familiar with in an Ultimate X match that is, one of the most popular, TNA matches of all time. What a great booking decision from, Scott D'Amore. I think that this has the potential of being a fun match. Ultimate X has always been one of, the most fun matches in TNA wrestling history. And there are some, this can honestly go any way. I'm excited to see Zaya wrestle. I haven't really got to see her work, and I know she's fantastic. Jaleel Shaw, she's somebody that, I think definitely has a bright future in the Knockouts division. Tasha Steelz, she's been, killing it in Impact Wrestling. Alicia Edwards, her and Eddie Edwards have been, a part of TNA for almost 10 years at this point. Oh, I'm very excited. I think that for this Ultimate X match, Tasha Steelz is going to win. Moving on now to our next match on the card, we have a singles match. We have my buddy, Dirty Dango versus PCO. And this match is going to be a good one. Honestly, I've been really enjoying this heel run by Dirty Dango. He is somebody that, I do pay attention to because, he is one of my good buddies. I do see him a lot at independent wrestling shows and wrestling conventions, and I get to talk to him a lot, and he's such a nice guy. So obviously, I gotta be, paying attention to what he's doing. And honestly, I've enjoyed, his run in TNA so far. And PCO, of course, I know who he is because, I watched him, in the independent circuit as well in my area. And also Ring of Honor, I did watch a lot of his work over there before, the whole pandemic thing happened. And I think that this, is going to be a pretty good match. And I do think that PCO is going to win. I really do hope Dirty Dango, does some type of cheat and, ends up stealing this win. But I think we're going to get PCO. Moving on now to our next match here on the card, we have a triple threat match for the TNA X Division Championship. Chris Sabin defending his title against Vikingo versus Kushida. I think I botched his name, but we have a three-way match, and this one is going to be a must-watch. You must, get some super glue and, lock those eyes onto your television or whatever you're watching TNA Hard to Kill on, because this is a match that you're not going to want to blink. You're not going to want to miss any of the action. And I'm so happy that, years later, the X Division is still a thing, because obviously, WWE, they tried to do the whole cruiserweight thing, the relaunch back in 2016, and they, pretty much kind of got rid of it. And a lot of us, don't really, show that love to cruiserweight wrestling, and I'm glad that the X Division is still a thing, and I just love the X Division for everything that, it means. And I love that Chris Sabin is even the champion as well, because, he's been one of my favorite TNA originals of all time. Somebody I still haven't got the opportunity to meet yet, and I hope I get to one day. Vikingo, man, great professional wrestler. Just, I don't even know what's up with him. I feel like he wrestles in AEW and, the independents more than, AAA. And he's been their champion for maybe 800, 900 days now. Fantastic in the ring. I got to watch him wrestle at Northeast Wrestling last year against Commander in such a great match. And I know Kushida, I know I'm botching the name, I apologize. I could barely, say my name without, pronouncing it wrong. I know he was a part of, NXT for a little bit, and TNA has given him, an opportunity as well. So I think that this is going to be a fun triple threat match, definitely a fun one, and I think that Chris Sabin is going to retain his championship. But moving on now to the next match on the card, we have a singles match for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Trinity versus Jordynne Grace. And I think that this is going to be a great match. And I think that, a lot of people that are getting back into TNA like myself, we don't really know Jordynne Grace. And I think that, she's really going to shock a lot of people, at Hard to Kill, especially against, Trinity, who is, well known for her, WWE run as Naomi. I think that this is going to be a great match and potentially could be a match of the night if, oh man, because that's the one thing about TNA, the Knockouts, they have the best women's division, hands down. And I do think that we are going to be getting a new champion. I think Jordynne Grace is going to beat Trinity for the title. And last but not least, we have our main event match. We have a singles match for the TNA World Championship. And this is, Moose's Feast or Fired cash-in. Alex Shelley will be defending his title against Moose in the main event. And, man, Moose is another guy, who's been in, Impact Wrestling during a time where a lot of people, stopped watching it. And I love that, they're giving him the main event spot because he has been one of, the biggest guy. He's been one of their, top players during, the Impact Wrestling era. So to bring him, back into the fold, especially, going for the World Championship, I really do like that a lot. Alex Shelley has absolutely killed it as the TNA World Champion. And he's somebody that, has had a very underrated career. And I love that they're giving him the opportunity. They're rewarding him for all his hard work. because he's another guy who's been in TNA for years, especially with the X Division champ, Chris Sabin. Motor City Machine Guns, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I do miss them, teaming, but they both deserve to have these incredible runs. And honestly, I think that Alex Shelley is going to retain his championship. But here's what I think is going to happen. And this, could happen anytime during the night. He could debut in a different way. But I think that Mustafa Ali will be the signing for TNA Wrestling, because there is reports that a former WWE superstar is coming to TNA, and I think it's going to be Mustafa Ali, and I think that we're going to get that stare down with Shelley and Mustafa setting up the next, big feud going into this new era of TNA. And they're talking about an original, coming back. I think that, with the working relationships that TNA has, because I think they do have, a better Forbidden Door than AEW, I think that we're going to get AJ Styles as, our special surprise, or Kurt Angle. I think we're going to be getting a really big name in this case, like just coming back and putting TNA over. We know there's been reports with, WWE and AEW and TNA, having some type of working relationship, and Triple H, is trying to open some of those forbidden doors now that, he has more creative control. So I do think that it's going to be either AJ Styles or Kurt Angle that will be, that former TNA guy that shows up and, cuts that promo, gets the big pop, puts the new era over. But guys, that was my full predictions for TNA Hard to Kill. I will be live here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Hard to Kill. So if you guys want to, watch the show with me, I will be live on here. Let me know in the comment section below your predictions for TNA Hard to Kill. I think that this is going to be a great show, and I think a lot of people are going to start tuning into TNA. And I think more people are going to get invested in it the more Tony Khan, continues to bury his company. And I think TNA really has the potential right now to take that number 2 spot. But if you guys enjoyed my predictions for TNA Hard to Kill, and you're excited that you're getting TNA content now on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow me over on my social medias and other YouTube pages. All that down below. If you want to go the extra mile, we are posting exclusive content over on Patreon. And if you become a We Are Wrestling Maniac tier, which is only $3 a month, or if you want to, be a main eventer for $5 or a legend for $10, you have a chance of winning this WWE Elite 106 Jey Uso for the month of January. So if you want to, become a member, go join our Patreon. All the links down below. And of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, TNA is back! And of course, you already know, we are taking over. Peace.